What do you say to women that their husbands are in the same place? They're not emotionally engaged and they're just angry.
For sure, do not nitpick them and hound them. And he's very honest when he has interviews and he tells people this, that I tricked him into counseling because I didn't think he would go if I just said, let's go. She was amazing at helping us pull apart the things that we had told ourselves that weren't true. What is God's true character? Is that aligning with your story? Pieces of this are true and pieces of this I made up to make myself feel better. And so unpacking all of that together really helped us.
Hold your head up high.
And so unpacking all of that together.
Welcome to the Women of Joy Show. You may know Women of Joy from our gatherings across the country, spaces where women come together to worship, learn, and connect. This podcast will provide a forum for more connection, more truth, and a deeper relationship with God. We've created this little space on the internet to stay connected with you between conferences, meet new friends, and to grow in our faith. I'm your host, Megan Waldrop-Swindling, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. We're honored you're here. This season, we're diving into what it means to live a radiant life and how to move past the shame that might be holding us back. One of the unique things about the ministry that we do is the relationship that we get to have with Christian bands. Truly, we could do a whole podcast on the evolution of Christian music, couldn't we? One of the bands that we've grown to love over the years is Mercy Me. We know you do too. Bart Millard, the award-winning frontman for Mercy Me, wrote the iconic song I Can Only Imagine that became a movie in 2018. Now, he and his wife Shannon are sharing their story in the new movie I Can Only Imagine 2 and the book, Even If, Trusting God Through the Fire. Today's guest is Bart's wife, Shannon Millard. That's right, we're getting a behind-the-scenes look at their life. This is the first time Shannon has done a podcast on her own, and we're so honored that she chose to do it with Women of Joy. We love you, Bart, but we know she is your better half. Shannon and Bart have been married for over 25 years. They have 5 children and now reside in Nashville, Tennessee. Shannon is deeply passionate about her family and her faith in Jesus. She seeks to live each day with purpose, gratitude, and joy. She's truly kept the family functioning amidst their unconventional life with the band schedule. Today, she and I get very real about the hard times in marriage. Yes, this episode will step on your toes, but it's so full of wisdom. I encourage you to heed Shannon's advice and share this with a friend who might be hurting. Enjoy this conversation with my new friend, Shannon Millard. Welcome, Shannon. Welcome to the Women of Joy podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so glad that you're here. And we were just talking, this is your first.
It is my first
solo podcast, which is a huge deal.
It is.
And so we get to talk about your husband and the book and all the things. So tell us a little bit about your husband and your family.
Well, we've been in ministry for a very long time. It's funny because I look at it as almost a missionary ministry, but people don't see it that way because we live sometimes like missionaries in a foreign land. Just the schedule we live is, I always say it's upstream from the world system. And so we always feel like we're counter what everyone else is doing in the world.
Fascinating.
And so for me, I just see it that way. And then we have 5 beautiful kids, age 14 to 24.
Okay.
Our oldest is married, and so we got an extra, and we love her. And so we're just surviving in an alternate world system that we love.
Yeah, that you've learned how to live in over how many years?
29 years.
Okay, 29 years.
Yeah, and every day is different.
Yeah.
You just don't know what you're going to have. And so routine is difficult. Consistency is difficult. So you just do your best.
And so Mercy Me, their highest point, which was probably, what year would you say?
I would say
that
2003, 2004 is when Imagine really hit the world.
Yes.
Because we were doing it at youth camps for a long time.
For a long time. That's what
that
I think.
Was independent.
Yeah, we had youth camp get days together, and we had Women of Joy. They've been at Women of Joy too, but it's so fun to get to sit down with a wife and just talk because our listeners, many of them see the bands, but they never see the reality of what is actually going on behind the scenes. And a lot of times it's hard. People think we all travel and that it's just fun and fluffy and all the things, and it's just not.
Yes.
It's just not. So in their highest days were some of the hardest days for your family, your marriage specifically. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Up till 2004, life just couldn't have been any better. Everything you hope for is happening. He's successful. He's happy with his job. Things are blowing up there. We have a baby. We live in a home surrounded by all of our family, his side and my side.
Wow.
Great friends, great church. I mean, we're just living life, loving it, thinking this is so amazing that we get to do this. And then 2004, the day before our son turned 2 in January 3rd, my brother died in a car wreck. He was the only brother I had, 20 years old. And he'd been at our house the night he died. And so that's where a big piece of shame came for both of us. He was a believer since he was little, but had just wasn't spending time in the Word and drifting a little bit. And so he started questioning a lot of things in his life. So he came to us that night begging to see God's face. Like, tell me he's real, Shannon. Tell me he's real. And I mean, I can't physically make that happen. So I was doing everything I could, pulling out scripture, and it just felt like it was falling flat for what he was begging for. And I never really involved Bart in my discussions with my brother. It was usually just me and him. But that night it felt so heavy that I felt like I need help. I have no answers, but I'm giving him the only answer there is, but it's not sinking in. So he was already in bed, and I went and got him, and I said, I need your help, and which was very unusual. He was like, are you sure you need me? I was like, yep. So we battled with him for a couple of hours, just trying to help him get to the other side of that. And he was dyslexic, which we've learned. We also have 3 dyslexic kids. And so we've learned after this that they can hear literally. So you can't throw any jokes at them and think that we're on the same playing field. We did not know that. So we were getting frustrated, and Bart said, hey, somebody just needs to take you out back and knock some sense into you. And of course, we're thinking, you got to get it together, man. Like, let's call it a night. Let's do this again in the morning. And my brother heard it literally and asked the strangest question that we both were left just stunned and like speechless. And he said, are you going to be the one to do that? And we were thinking, what are you talking about? Like, don't you get what we just said? Like, that's not what we meant. Which was really heartbreaking for us to not ever get to fix that.
Finish.
And so at that point, he got up and said, tell my nephew I love him, and walked out the door.
Oh, goodness.
And died 3 hours later. And so when my dad called at 8 o'clock that morning, we'd just put our son in our bed with us, hoping to sleep a little longer because we were so tired. And the tone of Bart's voice, I knew immediately. Like, I had that sense in my spirit that something wasn't right when he left. And like, just that's when the world came crashing down for both of us, because we felt instant shame of, oh my gosh, I think we killed him.
It's our fault.
Yeah, it's totally our fault. We didn't have the answer. He left angry. What are we going to do? And you have to face officers. At my parents' house, my parents didn't know that we were the last ones with him.
Oh, goodness.
So the shame just like overtook us both. And after talking with officers, because we thought, did he take his life? Did we say something wrong? And he said, no, I don't know anyone that takes their life on a curb. Like, we're pretty sure he fell asleep at the wheel, which he'd been up all night the night before with friends, then all that day, then struggled through what he was battling. And there was a sigh of relief for us, like, oh, thank you, Lord. It's not our fault. But the enemy is so tricky and crafty that it didn't die there. Like, we kept carrying it with us. He would just sneak that subtle words in your mind, like, it really was your fault. You know it was your fault. And so then as I'm walking with my parents through grief, because they only had 2 children, so now I'm the only child, a wonderful person that surrounded us said, there's an 80% divorce rate for people who lose their children. And that stuck in my head, and I was like, well, I'm not going to lose my brother and my parents. So I kind of just put my warrior suit on and decided, not on my watch. And so I kind of took that direction, and the shame didn't stay with me as long as it did with Bart. He was carrying it where it was almost visual. And so
when you said he didn't usually take part in those conversations,
right.
So he probably felt more weight.
Yes.
Because he was a part of it.
Yes, I'd asked
Yeah.
him to come in, and then he felt like he ruined it. He didn't talk about it. It was just silently eating him up. But you could physically see he was distancing himself because it was just a spinning wheel in his mind. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Even though every day I told him, it's not your fault. And so I just became the fighter. Like I looked ahead and thought, I don't want what people are saying could possibly happen. So I'll just stand ground and I'll just be a watchman. So while
For
I'm still
everyone else.
yeah, for
Well, you don't get
everybody
to deal
else.
with it.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal with it if I'm helping other people. So yeah, so that's I don't understand the full shame that he felt. I did carry shame consistently, and it that even led to shame of I'm not here enough for my kid. I'm kind of distant. I shouldn't be grieving. Like, there's all of those pieces because then our son got diabetes 9 months later at 2 years old, and you can't reason with a 2-year-old when you're pricking their finger and that hurts. And giving them shots 6 to 8 times a day, and you're telling them you love them, like it's okay. They don't know what you're doing. And so there was shame for pieces of that for me too. Like, I can't do this and be the best I can be. So I'm going to have to take all my emotions and set them on a box, on a shelf, and just keep moving forward. So it's very robotic, but I thought if I'm presently here and I have to care for your needs, I have to feed you, I read bedtime stories, we go play at the park, you're going to be fine. And for a while they are,
It
but
worked.
there are pieces we're still mending on the emotional side of, sorry we didn't show up like we wanted to, but I couldn't lay on you because one of us would have to lay on him and the other one would have to give the shot at 2 years old because he didn't understand. And you can't do that every day, 6 to 8 times a day and be fully present. It just was ripping us apart. So
Gosh. And meanwhile, Bart's traveling.
yes, and
Still
wanting to travel so
performing.
much so he can get away from all of those
escape the
feelings of
reality.
shame.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't escape our home. Our home became like a hard place for him because he would just revisit that every night where my brother was sitting there and then left. And he's like, oh. So the enemy just had him at home. So he felt better if he escaped and got away. And I was thinking, I want to go too, but I can't.
But you're not.
I mean, yeah, I was 50-50. Like, I don't want to miss all this, but I kind of want to have an escape too. Because that feels easier,
which is fair.
honestly.
Yeah. Yes. But then the dopamine hit, and we talk about that a lot in the world in which we live and you guys live. Like, there's the high of like the performance and being on the stage, and then there's the bottoming out, right? And the crash afterwards, and Satan being in your head as you come down. And so what did that look like when he would come home? Like, you're trying to keep all this steady, and then he comes back in. How did that affect your marriage?
I would say it put it on cruise control for a long time. We just, I think, which this is crazy, but we look back and go, you know what? Diabetes kept us centered together, which is really wild because while we could have checked out and just high-fived each other, and there were definitely those days, we were always talking about what is Sam's numbers? How did he do today? Did he have any episodes? So that, oddly enough, kept us just talking. And he would come home and just want to veg out. Like, we have this thing, which I've talked to other musician wives, and they feel the same way, which I was like, oh, it's very comforting. That we have a 24-hour reentry. Like, you get 24 hours to reenter the home and adjust. Because that has to be difficult.
Yeah.
To do whatever you want on the road and have all this free time and doing what you love, and then come home to the nitty gritty of, I need you to fix this and do this, and here's the kid, and you know. And so I gave him 24 hours, and then you got to jump back in. But he wasn't jumping back in as well. And so the movie and the book talk about a flower chair, and that's what became part of him. As we had this flowery chair in our living room, and he would sit there all day and just kind of zone out. So he was physically there, but emotionally not there. And that was really, really hard because it's sometimes harder if he just wasn't, as if he wasn't there, it'd be easier. But being here and just not really helping was really difficult for me.
I'm sure. So at what point did that kind of break?
So surprisingly, well, he was traveling, I want to say 275 days a year.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot. And so he really wasn't there a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I just had my community, my family, and we just had another life that we did. And I started slowly seeing that I couldn't hold my box of emotions over here anymore. Like it was starting to creep up and take over. So I decided I have to go to counseling. I have to get help with this. And so found this beautiful person. And I think that's when it started to change. And he's very honest when he has interviews and he tells people this, that I tricked him into counseling because I didn't think he would go if I just said, let's go. He's still trying to avoid all of that. And I'm wanting to can we just get past it? And so I tricked him and it worked. And the minute he was in, he wanted to get it out. He just didn't want to take that step to do it.
And his background, which is so public in the movie and everywhere, probably didn't help any of that, right?
Oh gosh, no. Yeah.
So that was his first time in counseling.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ever. So yeah, and
A lot to unpack.
she was amazing at helping us pull apart the things that we had told ourselves that weren't true. What is God's true character? Is that aligning with your story? It was just a lot of that we had to do some self seeking and go, you know what? Pieces of this are true and pieces of this I made up to make myself feel better. And so unpacking all of that together really helped us.
What do you say to women that their husbands are in the same place? They're sitting in the flower chair that you mentioned. They're not emotionally engaged and they're just angry. What advice do you give them to do or not to do in those situations?
For sure, do not nitpick them and hound them.
Well, that's hard.
Because I tried that and the divide grew.
Yeah.
And anger and resentment were growing and I could just hear myself being so negative that I didn't even want to be that person. But I didn't know how to get him out if I didn't just say, come on, get up. What are you doing? Why? You've been there for 4 hours. That's only increasing the shame.
Yeah.
And so that does not work. So, I mean, I really had to pray about it. I just had to say, okay, Lord, if I believe you're capable of anything, you're capable of getting him out of the chair. And I need to trust that. And so between prayer and then just being surrounded by people who were farther along in their faith, encouraging to keep me where I needed to be instead of jumping in with him or walking away or whatever. Constant encouragement and lifting up and being present in my community at church and my community with my friends. Like that is what pulled me along and had helped me be steady.
So speak to that a little bit, because when you live a public life, choosing that community is really hard, and who you can be very honest with. How did you go about doing that?
I think it was really easy for me. I had a unique setup where all of my friends were childhood friends.
That
And
is unique.
we each had 5 kids each, same ages. And so we're living in our small town we grew up in. We didn't think we'd stay there. We thought it was going to
Texas?
be
Is that right? Okay.
outside of Dallas. We thought it'd be a landing for a little while we were traveling a lot before kids. We needed someone to check our yard and those kinds of things. And we thought, well, if we live near our families, they could help us out with that. We had never planned on staying in our hometown. And then many years go by, you start having kids, and then that becomes my root system. And I think that
You need it.
not a lot of people have that. And so it is that sustained me in that unique situation of my friends right there with me all the time.
So now you live here in Nashville, right? So you've had to reestablish and build new relationships.
Yes.
Any advice? I think of pastors' wives specifically, or just women where their husbands are really involved in the church and they're carrying negative stories of who that man is to them, but they can't take that to anyone and they don't want to be disrespectful. What do they do with that, do you think?
Gosh, that's a great question. I mean, I think I still struggle with who do you trust, who do you not trust? Because you love that person, but sometimes you just want to vent like, it was a hard day. And who can you trust that still loves that person after you vent your hard day and doesn't look at them any different?
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of biblical counseling, not generic counseling, but definitely biblical centered. And I feel like that's a safe space to really pour out your heart and also have a third party looking into your life. And where does your contribution? And just to kind of help you have a wider view of what you're walking through.
And that's hard too, because women, we talked about this in another episode, like we set the emotional tone for our home, and that's a privilege. We can look at it as a curse or we can look at it as a privilege.
Yes.
And so you were carrying so much of that, especially through that time. You said you spent a lot of time in prayer. Are there any practical things that you did that looking back, you're like, I wouldn't have gotten through this if I hadn't gone on that walk or did that Bible study? Like anything like that?
For sure. I was in Bible studies with women older than me. And I think that's really important.
Yes.
It's unique these days, I feel like. You don't see that as often as I did in that time of my life. But I think it's so important because they have more wisdom. They're ahead of you in the journey. And I had a lot of women pour into me from Sunday school and Bible studies and just always just looking at, I had a mindset also like, Lord, what do you want to show me today? And I think I could easily have missed it if I wasn't trying to be aware. But I'm like trying to crawl out of a pit at the same time. So I'm not having it all together. I'm just like, God, help me every day.
I need to survive the next. Like, it sounds like your faith even deepened out of necessity and not out of desire even.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
I'm not putting that on you. I'm just saying like it,
That's a great way to say it, for sure. Yeah, I may have looked like I was having it all together to some people, but I was dead on the inside. And 2004, Bart and I always say there is life of who we are before 2004 and after 2004. Like it changed us forever in really good ways eventually. But there was that very hard season. And I also think that journaling helps for multiple reasons. Like you're getting your heart out, but also it helped me when I went back to see when the enemy tries to tell me something wasn't true or that's a lie or you did this and he did that. I can go back in my journal and I would read, oh, that's not how it was. Or look how God was so faithful when I didn't know he was faithful because I wasn't looking for him. I could see God's footprints all over this hard time that I wouldn't have probably remembered everything if I hadn't have journaled it. So I feel like that's really a good escape to take 15 minutes a day.
Just journal. Yeah. And even see what you're prioritizing and what you're thinking and what you're praying about shows so much.
And it shows you your answered prayers because sometimes I think we forget when we pray that the Lord does answer them. It may not be the way you wanted, but he did answer it. And I think journaling helped me do that too. Like, oh, he did answer that. It just wasn't what I thought.
Yeah. Have you seen with other couples, even in the industry or just within your church in different places? I've noticed like it's easy when you're in a harder season of marriage to not remember God's faithfulness because the enemy is speaking so much louder than God is. And so
for sure,
Satan's going to fight hard for you not to journal and not to remember God's faithfulness. Talk about that a little bit.
I think that's where the community and friend piece came in. As I was believing lies or the enemy may have been louder at me. And you're like, why are you not angry at your husband? Why are you not yelling at your husband? He's not doing anything. Like that was like on repeat for me. My friends would say, I mean, just the reality is, Shannon, he's struggling. The reality is he has this. He's busy. He's been handed not only these hard times, but a lot of, I hate to use the word fame, but awareness from the world of his music. And so that's a whole nother thing he's trying to figure out and learn. Boundaries, how much should I do? What is this like? All of that at the same time that we're like, hey, where are you? So it was a lot to carry. So I don't know if I answered your
No, you did.
question,
That's good.
but
and in that, how did you see, because you guys knew each other, if I researched correctly, for a long time.
Yes.
And even in youth group and early days. So you knew his family, but you didn't know his family fully and what all was going on with his dad. And
Oh, it's shocking, honestly. I knew him from 7th grade on. He was a 9th grader. We were in the same youth group. That's where you're like, oh, who are you? You know, 'cause you're in different schools, and that's where we started our friendship. And I mean, we were best friends, and we spent so much time together, us and then another guy. The three of us would play tennis all the time. Like, we just became really close. And I just thought growing up that his dad didn't like kids at the house. I knew his mom was gone. Like, he didn't tell us anything, really. And he was the funny guy, and like everybody wanted to be around. And you just didn't ask questions at that time. You're kids. You're just seeing surface value. Like, oh, I've made up this fact that your dad doesn't like kids, so we don't go to your house. And it wasn't until we went into intense counseling, after I tricked him, then we went to an intensive where, like, we need to work on his past because your past does play a role in your marriage. And I had no idea how bad it was until
then.
then.
It's a long time.
I don't know how long we'd been married, 11, 12 years maybe then. And
Did
I
that
was
then
shocked.
set the stage for him to be able to have the movie and share and let people in to?
Yes. Like we say, if we
Interesting.
didn't do that and work through those feelings, we wouldn't have ever had that movie
Yeah.
because he could have never watched it on the screen and dealt with it. It was still difficult to do, but
Of course.
he had worked through all those emotions and put them on the other side of his childhood view of that. And I mean, I couldn't believe, I was like, how do I not know you? But I've always known you. And he just hit it so well.
Yeah. But God can't use what we're not willing to deal with and work through. And
Absolutely.
Satan.
And I think our testimonies are the most powerful piece because no one can argue what you've walked through and how God has been faithful to you. And so I just feel like we're supposed to share it. And
so you chose, we talk about emotions a lot at women. I mean, it's a lot of women like around the country.
we
So
have a lot
we
of
talk about emotions and hormones and menopause and all the things. But with emotion, you could have been angry that he'd not told you, I would imagine, at that point.
yeah.
But you chose to not have that posture. Was that hard?
It actually wasn't. I'm a person that likes to find the answers. Just tell me the truth. I'd rather know the truth, even if it's hard, than you not to tell me anything. And so I think for me, personally, when you opened the door and showed me everything, it made more sense of things I was struggling in our marriage with.
Yeah.
I was like,
Put it together.
oh, that's tied to this. And you do this because of that. So I actually had such grace, which is the Lord, because I could have been really angry, but it just like unlocked everything for me and I had a different view. It's like, okay, but don't stay there. Like, that was my big thing.
Process and move forward. Yeah. It seems as though your posture was at such, I mean, it is about posture and not wanting to impose your own thoughts on his childhood or what had gone on. Like, you took it for what it was and you said, how can God use this?
Yeah.
And hasn't he though?
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I always say it's only God. Like, I love that piece because we couldn't have done all of this.
Yeah. You couldn't write it.
Nor would you want to put your worst years of your life out for the world to see. So only God. But we just said, we'll do whatever you want us to do.
Well, I was going to ask that. I imagine the first film was, I call it a vulnerability hangover, but I imagine it was
Yeah.
like everyone watching it. And then you've chosen to do it again. And I can
know.
only imagine too.
It's crazy.
What led to that?
Cindy Bond. It's a lady in California who there had never been a movie about a song done before. And I can only imagine was just a huge song. And she's the one that pushed us for the first one. And I didn't feel as vulnerable as he did because I felt like I'm just on the outskirts of your story. Way to go, guy. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You know,
But now this.
this one was much more difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a lot of emotions, wanted to pull it back and go, never mind, I don't want to do it anymore. And Bart would say, it's too late. And I'm like, okay, so I've got to figure this out. Every day was different. And then not only was it Bart and I, but our children were involved in it. And so that's a whole nother layer of walking them through things that they've heard us talk about, but they'd never seen. So originally my brother's death was in the movie. And we had to relive that as they filmed it. And my kids I just underestimated the depth of sadness they would feel in that moment because they had always heard me talk about it. But to kind of see it and play out, it was really wild. And we just tried to be really open and say, do you have any questions? How are you feeling? And it became like a beautiful, special thing. So it's weird to say, like, I walked through the hardest times again on film, which is it's very surreal to watch someone be you and you're crying and you know exactly what that feels like. But it became such a blessing because we just were able to talk through all these things with our kids that we probably wouldn't have if we didn't do it. And so it felt like we were giving them a gift to join us in that rather than just hear about it. It sounds wild to say that, but
it allows them to see truly what you dealt with. And now we know, I mean, emotional vulnerability is such a huge part of kids being able to bond with us and have attachment and all the things. And so that sounds like a huge moment of emotional vulnerability for the two of you, even in their adult years. Yeah,
it is. And I think it's interesting because the 2004, we put our emotional feelings
aside.
And so we were a robot living because you didn't have time to deal with it even if you wanted to because something else was coming along and you were like, okay, here we go. We have another thing. And so that whole year we had something every few months, it felt like. And so we kind of got in a pattern of not being emotional. And so that's something we've really had to work on is, okay, we can go through life and be exactly like we've been forever, or we can try to be more intentional and go to those hard places that just aren't natural because we worked so hard for them to not be there. And so my kids don't ask lots of questions. I think that also draws you into an emotional space with your children. And my kids just don't ask a lot. They just observe. And so the movie was really great for me because I was like, okay, here's this piece. And now let's go back and talk about all these things. So
interesting. As people watch and know a person from your family, right, in the public eye, not your whole family, but yet so many people look at platforms and they say, gosh, I want to be that famous. I want that lifestyle. I mean, you hear it, I'm sure, all the time. What do you say to those people? And how has God matured you to the place to steward a platform?
Gosh, for years, I would hear people say, oh, it must be so glamorous and so great.
Do you want to slap
them?
I
was thinking, I don't feel that way at all. I'm not sure what I'm missing here. It's very difficult. And that's why I said in the beginning, it feels like a missionary family because the way people perceive it is not all the way it is. It's very difficult to live that life.
But it's a calling.
It's a calling.
It's distinctive.
For sure. Like so many people want to be famous. And I go, famous people are probably very lonely because you go out and then you're vulnerable to the world. And when people see you, they think you're best friends and they're just going to take your time and talk to you, which is beautiful. But it's a calling. It's a ministry. And so you really got to pray about that and make sure that that's what you want to do. And go ask some people, what's this look like in your world? If you really want to do that, go and ask some people, tell me about your story. Tell me about your world. Because nothing is as it seems on the surface, truly. But fame does come with prices. And so
it does. Now at the place that you're at, does that look different? Now that you're in Nashville, you're not in your hometown. What does it look like for this season of life?
Gosh, it has been really hard for me personally because I had such an incredible root system.
Yeah. And how long have y'all been here?
13 years.
Okay.
So I thought that everyone had that. I didn't know that was unique. And so I have
unique.
It was very unique. And I'm so grateful. I don't know that
you needed it for that. That's probably what got you.
I don't know if I would have survived. I also don't know if I would have been able to have 5 kids because my parents were always in the house. My friends were always coming over. And so it helped me feel like I can do this. But alone, I don't know if I could have. And I would have missed some beautiful babies, I think. And maybe I would have done it and then really just struggled. Who knows?
Made it through.
Yeah. But here has been really difficult because this is his world I felt like I walked into, where I felt like that was my world that he lived in. And so it's just a huge mindset shift. And then you're gathering all these children with you, looking at you that none of us know anybody. And so it's been a slow, steady climb. And we now have some beautiful friends. And the band family's moved, so that was helpful. So you weren't totally alone.
Yeah.
And they've been walking alongside you all that time also in Texas. So that was a gift to have them. But it's been challenging.
So you knew you were signing up for ministry, right? Wasn't he student pastor? Is that right?
No, he started the band, and then I thought we were just going to live on love when I married him.
There's no
And
money.
There was no money. He's like living this dream, and I'm like, who makes a living at this kind of dream? I just thought I liked the adventurous side of that. And so I was like, I'm in for the ride. And I thought he'd do that for a little while. And then we might both minister at a church. Like that's really what my mind thought. So I had a different look. I didn't see it as ministry then. I just thought, you have a dream, live it out, then we'll go do ministry. And so it's interesting. My mindset has definitely shifted to see how music, always ministered to me. I loved music growing up. And all my memories are attached to music. My hard times are attached to music. So it definitely ministered to me, but I didn't know it ministered to people in such a wide variety and way that it does. And so.
Was there a moment where you realized, like, this is a thing? Like, was it I Can Only Imagine, or what? There had to be a time that you thought, okay, this is more than a little fun.
Yeah, I'm a very personal person. I love people. And so early on, I was the T-shirt girl. And so I would sell the CDs and the T-shirts, and people would come up and just start talking to me and telling me their stories and their hardships. And I felt myself loving pouring into them. And I thought, oh gosh, this is even ministry. And so I think my mind started to shift there. And I didn't fully understand it, but I realized, oh, there's a piece of this where we are ministering to people. And I think when he signed, it shifted a little more too, just because there's people telling you, this is how it works. This is, you're going to, it's just a little more out loud than you doing it independently. And we're just traveling in a broken up bus and selling T-shirts, and you're thinking, are we doing anything here? So I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah. So you liked being around people and enjoyed.
Oh, I love people. Yeah.
Even still, do you get to travel more now as the kids get older?
No,
Or less?
we're still homeschooling
Okay.
2 kids, and then they have all their activities. So I'm pretty grounded here. I don't go hardly at all. So that was a shift.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm
you
going
had
full
more
time.
kids.
We tried kids on the road. It's very difficult.
I have seen many a band with a lot of kids. We've had football games in the loading docks with the trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Great memories.
yes, good memories.
But it's difficult.
Yeah. Very hard, and not as, I can think of a few families in particular where they've made it work and they've made it happen, but it doesn't work for everyone. And
No, and
is it ideal?
Our band has 17 kids. So,
Oh,
I mean, think
gosh.
about that. Like, if we
That's
all
a lot of
decided to travel with all our kids, you'd have like a parade of buses trying to just get us there. So,
Yeah. 17 kids.
yeah,
That would be a lot.
it's really sweet though. They're like a little mini family, cousins, and
So were they all in Texas with you guys too?
yes, we
Okay.
were all in Texas
And then you
together,
all came
and
to
then we all
Nashville.
moved. The drummer still lives in Texas, but the rest
Okay.
of us moved.
Wow. How did the move come about? It was just time to be closer to the industry.
We tried to do it as long as we could at home, surrounded by family, because family is very important to me. And I started seeing a shift in my kids where they went to a Christian school. And so all these dads were coming home at 5, and their friends, they'd go to their friend's house, and there's their dad at dinner. And their dad is at baseball and softball and volleyball and gymnastics. And their dad was never there. And so I started to see anger creeping in them. And I'm talking about being an emotional person in the home. I quickly learned that when I complain, they also complain.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I had to shift that thought first. Like, it's a privilege daddy's gone. And we didn't want them to attach Jesus to dad being gone to then hating Jesus. And so we were always being sensitive about that when we spoke It's always a privilege. Daddy gets to do this. Well, and that can only last so long when daddy's never home. And then they start getting really mad. And I thought, okay, we have to make a decision here. Give up everything and save dad in their eyes and our family, or stay and let them just be bitter. And so we left everything to save the family.
Chose to be here.
Yeah.
It's a hard decision.
It was hard.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but I see the fruit of it, and I'm really thankful.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, that's the case for any ministry, family to some degree, even with pastors, and everyone else doesn't know. I mean, your kids can't go to a ball game and explain, oh, my dad's on tour, and like it's complicated. But
yes, and here a lot of people do the same thing. So now it just immediately shifted their mindset to, oh, your dad's traveling too? Oh,
yeah, it's a normal.
yeah, it's just normal.
Thing. What about, how have you guys, in the culture that we're in now, that is so hard? I mean, it's not hard to stay married, but publicly it feels like there's so many people falling. What have you guys done to protect your marriage with so much travel?
Well, they knocked their days down to 60 dates a year.
Wow.
And said, we're going to trust God to provide. Because they just were missing so much of their lives.
Yeah.
And realized it's not that it's not worth it. Ministry obviously is worth it, but at the cost of our family, I don't know that it is. And so they did that. That was their first
big
move.
shift.
Yes. And then they were playing tons of summer festivals. Well, that's when the kids were all home all summer. And so they were like, well, a few years later, like, let's try and do summers free and see how that goes. And the Lord was just, I think he just blessed that decision of putting our family before all the things. And we really are protective of our family time, very protective. And we make ourselves go on family vacations. And so there's little things I learned along the way, like, oh, I got to remember that when they're teens, don't always bring a friend on the trip. Like, this was things that children's ministers would tell me. Because I would find families and I'd be like, oh, they're really close still with their teens. How they do that? I want to be that. And they would give me little tidbits. And I go, okay, tuck that away and use that. And we've just always done family vacation. Like, here's the week we're doing a family vacation. No other people are allowed. And I do see the beauty of that.
And you've chosen, you're not on social media. Am I right? Or you're quietly on social media?
I'm quietly on social media.
Not publicly on social media. Yeah.
I did create a public account so I could support our son who's doing music now.
Okay.
I couldn't share all the things.
Yeah.
But I am protective. Just I feel like social media is not the real world anyway. And so I'm just the old school girl who likes face to face. And I mean, I've just watched my kids go through social media, and they just, like, if we could just put that away, your life would be 100% better.
So much better. Yeah.
And I know that's not the reality of the world that we're going to live in, but it's how are we going to do it well? Because people have, I call keyboard courage, and can quickly take you down in 2 seconds.
Yes, they can.
And so I had done a blog. It's funny. I did a blog for diabetes when he was little. And it was just kind of like a day in the life of Sam. And that was like a good outlet for me. And I let one person's negative comment make me stop. And so I think I'm very sensitive to stuff like that. So I've just chosen to guard myself.
But I love that, because it gives permission to women, and permission. We shouldn't have to have permission, but there's some unwritten rule somewhere that we have to all live this big public life, and that's just not truth. I mean, there are, in publishing that I'm in the world that Bart's in, like, there are spaces where you have to have a public space, but you don't have to live in such a way. I mean, the Bible calls us to lead a quiet life. Like, it's okay if you choose to not take part in that, in a world that says you need to have everything plastered all over the internet.
Yes.
Yeah. So how has that balanced with the film?
I don't feel so much pressure, I think, as he does, because it's still more his story to a degree, and he's the one that everybody knows. I'm just the girl in the background. is the way I look at it. And so I did create the public one so I could share movie stuff and interviews and my son's stuff because I do want that. But I'm just protective of all of my life being out there for anyone to see. And so I choose, what am I going to put on public and what am I going to keep on my private? And I just keep them separate.
That's great. And I think you're so much more in the film and in being able to model for women how to do this well, how to stay married, and how to really pray for your husband and not put on him what you believe should happen. Like you made a distinctive decision to not do that. And that's very, very admirable.
Well, this is what I tell my kids too. Like, let's flip the coin. Like, if I go down this road and I'm bitter and angry and resentful and gross to always hear, I don't want him to ever look at me and go, oh, here she comes. And so that's one side of the coin. Or I can flip it and say, my hope is tomorrow is going to be better. Every day. My hope is tomorrow will be better. I'm going to pray. I don't have control over this. And only the Lord can fix it. You have to, which side of the coin do you want? And I just wanted the second one and just trusted that he'll pull us out. I didn't know at the time what that was going to end up being.
Yeah, what it was going to look like.
But every day I just got up and was like, I believe tomorrow will be better or today will be better. And just had hope. Because without hope, what do you have? If you give up, what are you aiming for or looking forward to?
But so many women have lost hope, which is really sad. But it's still there.
It's very sad.
It's still there.
Yeah.
They just have to grasp it and pray and come back to who they are in Christ.
Yes. I think that's a huge piece, a huge piece. And my faith really hit the wall in 2004. I'd never questioned God. I grew up, I was a believer at 6. Jesus was always in our home. We're always at church. Every time the doors open, life was great. And I always thought, oh, that scripture, ask and seek and you'll find, ask and it will be given to you. I'm like, oh, okay. So I kind of looked at Jesus like Santa. Like, if I ask for this, you're going to give me this. And that's definitely a child perspective of what they were teaching, not what they were actually teaching. But then when I hit that 2004, it was like, okay, do you believe the whole word? Or you just want to pick pieces out and believe them? And I really realized, oh, that's what I've been doing, and I can't do that. And I think that was pivotal for me. Like, choose what you're going to believe. And that led me to have the hope and to think I can do this one more day, because I realized, oh, I do believe all of this, and just trusted God in a different way.
And the fact there's no shame in that.
Right.
Like acknowledging the fact of, hey, maybe I'd not grasped this in the way that it was originally intended. Like maybe I felt like God was Santa Claus, and now because of this tragedy, my faith has just slapped me in the face, and it's become very different than I thought it was. And I've seen women pull back and they're like, no, I can't admit that this was the case, but I so admire you for being willing to be honest and say, hey, this is where I was at and this is how God brought me through.
Well, I think honesty is where change happens.
It is.
And I only know honesty. I don't I don't like to do anything else. And sometimes I'm too honest. I'm like, well, sorry.
No,
that's
it's
just the way it was for me.
And letting God use your testimony and use your story is very powerful.
Thank you.
So, in closing, we ask every guest, what is something that's bringing you unexpected joy in this season of your life?
Adult children.
Okay.
I know that sounds probably weird, but
No.
I just never knew what that was going to be like. Are they going to start living their life and just take off and drift into the sunset and you see them on holidays? And it's just been so joyful that my adult child and that's married, that they both want to still hang out with us. Like, it's been so much joy. And just our family grew and didn't completely change, I guess. It was very unexpected.
That's awesome. How long has he been married?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got 14.
14, 17, 19, 21, 24.
Oh, that's fast. We're 12, 13, and 14. So we're like,
Oh, you're
behind
back to
you.
back.
We've got like all
Oh,
the
my
ages
goodness.
covered between
Yeah,
the
we
two
do.
of us there. All the teenage years and young adult. But
Yes. So
thank you so much for sitting down today and
Well, thank
spending
you for
this time with
having me.
us. And I hope everyone will go watch the movie. We'll promote that and have the book and all of that in our show notes. And so I'm excited. Thank you for being willing to share your story and your marriage and
Of course.
all the things
Thank
with
you
the
for
world.
asking.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Shannon Millard. I pray that you not only got a behind the scenes look at their life, but that you are leaving with practical principles that you can apply to your own life and marriage. All of the links to the book and the film are in the show notes. Remember, we are in this with you, and we can't wait to see you at a Women of Joy live event.